Oh, you're rolling?
Yeah.
Okay, so standard intro. That's Ryan. He's a Marine. He's a mortarman in the Marine and is a sergeant.
This is my dad. His name is Robert Oxner. Retired as Command Sergeant Major in the Army in 2017. Was in for 31 plus years.
Yeah.
And last one we did was a little bit before Christmas, and now it's like a couple days before Easter. So
Yeah, so it takes a while because you got to recover from this because, as your mother warned us tonight, don't get so freaking hammered.
You were pretty good. You were pretty good the first one. I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
You shared some stories.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get me on defamation for some of that shit. So
if we get too popular, lawsuits are coming out.
Yeah, that's true. They want some of the coin. But we didn't tell too many war stories.
No.
We talked shit about a lot of people.
We talked shit about people, told some stories. The foundation.
The foundation of what used to be the difference between the soldiers today, which are a little weird, and the soldiers and the debauchery of days gone by. I miss those days. Anyway, but the war stories today. So we'll start war stories today. So, my favorite war stories that we usually talk about is you got two different types. You got your war stories, which I was telling someone about this, and I'm like, look, man, we ain't telling no sad war stories.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
ain't no.
Yeah. And then the worst happened. You know?
And then the worst, because I've got a ton of those, and you don't want to see me turn into blah.
That's why we drink.
We'll do an episode of that, of why I hate Christmas. I better back off. I was about to go into it.
I was just saying, you tearing up already?
Yeah, I know. So we'll tell. Since I usually go fishing with my buddy Shannon, who's a master gunner, and he was my ops sergeant major, we tell gunnery stories. So gunnery stories are the best stories. Everybody's had. Man, when I was a kid coming up, they used to tell stories about in Germany. Everything was in Germany. Nothing, the guys that came from Hood and the guys that came from Carson and Stewart. And you really didn't hear anything about anybody from out in Washington. So, and then Knox, of course. Those guys had okay gunnery stories. But if you want to hear some crazy ass shit going down on a gunnery range, it was Germany and Graf stories. Graf.
I have been to Graf.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You went to Graf.
I was technically there.
Your brother, I have a picture of your brother at Graf when he was 6 or something months old because they had a family day. And I'm sitting there holding him. And I'm in my, ain't taking a bath in 10 days, freaking CVCUs, my ass all blown out like they always get. Holding him with a little Coke and that. I threw him in the back of the Bradley, your mom. Your brother has done a lot of military stuff before he's in the military.
I believe it.
Because I've been some rules. But, so that was a good one because we were doing a demonstration. And I was gunning for the colonel at the time. It was Colonel Parker. And they're like, oh, wait, we need you to shoot this toe. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to shoot it at? Because we were on range 112, which was it wasn't a tank range. It was just it was an aviation range. So the rocket panels were out there, like way out there somewhere. So they're like, all right, Ox, we need you to shoot it. Just shoot it. Oh, this mover came up. There was a mover up. That's right. That's what had the happening.
With a toe.
With a toe. So I was going to shoot a mover with a toe. Well, I got out there, line it up, toes up. I think the target came up. I might have shot some 25 at or something. But then I fired the toe and sent it down range, and there was no target. I don't know what. For some reason, there was no target.
Because you hit it.
No. Maybe I hit it. Anyway, it wasn't there. Target didn't come up. They're just on the radio. Just fire the toe. Just fire the toe. And I was like, all right, I'll just fire this toe. So I launched the toe at a rocket panel out there. And it was going out there so far bridge.
Yeah, can you get around and close the door?
Hey, come on. So his toe was going out there so far that, and the target was so small that I couldn't see the target anymore because the missile, locked in and it was flying. So I went and I moved the missile over and I was like, okay, there's a target. Reacquired the target and it went down there and it hit it. It didn't explode or nothing. It just went boom.
Did you have HE or was it like a practice round? Or?
It just didn't hurt.
Oh, it's a toe.
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
So, I thought, well, someone going to ask you for this one. But the 3 came back and he was like, man, that was awesome because we saw you move the missile. Because you were like, shh. They were watching it because there was a big ass tracer on it, like this big.
Like mid-stride?
Huh?
Mid-stride?
Yeah, I was like, boop, get it out of the way, moved it out of the way, reacquired the target, brought it back on the target.
Oh, damn. Oh, so you couldn't see the target because
the missile was in the way.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I guess it's going to.
Just a quick little.
It was just. I mean, it wasn't like going.
Yeah.
But I was like, and everybody's watching this missile, it's doing its missile-y thing, and all of a sudden it just went. And I was like, oh, good. Then I hit the target, and everybody's all happy, and bang. So that was gunnery. There's Bradley gunnery. One thing I never liked about Bradley gunnery. So my first Bradley gunnery, I got to do. I was telling Shannon about this day we were fishing. I was like, look, man. I said, we were talking about the new 19 Delta events that are going on in the field now. And I said, here's the thing it's going to do. It's going to consolidate them cats. So they're either going to know a freaking Bradley. I said, it's going to kind of become Bradley-centric again. And then it's going to go to, you have some guys at Humvees or JLTVs or whatever they call them. But, so the first time, I was on Sheridans doing gunnery, and I was a tank commander by the time I left. I went from driver, loader, gunner, tank commander. And then I get to Germany, and I was like, all right. And the first time I saw the inside of Bradley was during this alert when they dropped the ramp on the Bradley. They were in the field when I got there. And they dropped, that's the first time I ever seen the inside of Bradley. I didn't know shit about a Bradley. So I'm in there trying to be all high speed. And this kid Kokolo comes up and he's like, hey, did you get the tracking bolt? I said, there's all kinds of bolts on this freaking, the bolt for the gun. I said, there's no gun. I mean, there's no bolt in this gun. And we're on doing an alert,
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting ready, East Germany border and all that stuff was going on. I'm like, dude, what? And meanwhile, I'm trying to slam this damn 240 in, not knowing you got to get it to a certain elevation to get the 240 in. I didn't know. I'm just trying to get this machine ready to go kill people.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, crap.
Ready for war.
Ready for war. But I failed that miserably. So then we decided we're going to go wild flicking for gunnery. And we do BGST. They got something called BGST, Bradley Gunnery Skills Training. And you do it before you go to gunnery every time because it sharpens your skills on different aspects of BGST. It's called BGST. So it's got like things like load the gun, dismantle the coax, load the gun,
all that shit.
Disassemble, assemble, all the shit for the Brad. Braid your toe, load the ammo, stuff like that. So I tell the master gunner, I'm like, dude, I do not know what I'm doing on this vehicle. I have never been trained on this vehicle. Can I go through BGST so that I can learn what I'm supposed to do on this vehicle? And he's like, no, you're station 6, clear the gun. So I learned how to clear the gun. That's it.
Okay.
You pull the feeder and you got all the steps. So I became very good at that.
The main gun?
The main gun.
Yeah.
No clue how to load that gun. Don't know really how to shoot it. Don't know, but I can clear the shit out of that gun.
Fuck out of that gun.
And good thing I've been on 240s on Sheridan. So I was like, okay, man, whatever. And I got a Eugene Brewer kind of helped me through. No, Brewer wasn't there yet. But, so we go up to gunnery. Now, let's make it a little bit more difficult, okay?
Okay.
I am a E5 promoter. E5. I was an E5. And my gunner is a PFC. He'd never gunned before.
Yep.
I'd never been on a Bradley before.
You know how to clear it.
I know how to clear it.
And your PFC knows how to get in there.
He knows how to shoot it. we shot a little UCOF. So we're getting ready to go down range, and it ain't like I'm just holding this to myself, trying to be proud. I'm like, Sergeant Osborne, you know, I don't know, my platoon sergeant, I don't know how to work this. And then I had this kid named Schmidt, was the section sergeant. He was all pissed off because I was on the 5 track, which is the section sergeant track, and he was on the 6 track because he'd signed for it before I got there, you know. And I got left. So he would get bent the fuck out of shape when I called, hey, this is white 5. He's like, I'm white 5. I'm like, well, what says on my bumper?
Well, that's crazy because I'm in a white 5 vehicle.
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, I hate that guy anyway. Yeah. So we roll up the wild flicking. I get on the range. First time I've ever done any of this shit. Mark Reardon is my commander.
Okay.
And he's like, Sardox, I got all the faith in the world. You know what you're doing. You're on Sheridan. I'm like,
yeah.
Sir, I don't have a fucking clue. I'm just hoping to keep rounds between the range fans. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
I'm looking down right.
I'm hoping nobody gets hurt on this vehicle. So there was this kid named Perello who was PCSing, who ended up going to 82nd, going to Desert Storm in 82nd. And he lives out in Maine now. And they're like, okay, Corporal Perello, get in the back and help these guys out. I'm like, whew, thank God.
Damn.
So we get up there, and I'm making my run. And they're like, okay, you know, white 5, go ahead and lock and load all weapon systems, display your flag, you know, all that stuff, get red combo on one set. I'm like, oh, roger that. And I was like, and Perello, I'm like, and we're on this hot mic too. I don't know, in tanks we use hot mics to talk to, you know, the tower, so you can hear everything that goes on in the crew. And I was like, looked at Gomez, and I was like, hey, buddy, load the gun. And he's like, Corporal Perello, help us. So he talks Gomez through loading the gun. I just stand up there in the hatch, staying the fuck out of the way. Yeah. I knew how to load the coax. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
so
I can do my job.
I can do my, you're the gunner. This is all you, baby. And most of crew coordination, when you're in the Bradley, because the weapons control panel is right beside you, is beside the gunner, and you're up out of the hatch and stuff, that's all him, man.
Yeah.
Just all him. So we do our engagement, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing's awesome. First engagement, you know, got our Sabo 2 PCs, right PC first, identify, fire on what?
Jesus.
And I'm out of the hatch like this far, like I'm leaning out. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. My buddy Bueller said, hey man, it's really cool. You're supposed to shoot in a burst. It's 1, 3, 4. So you're like, because there's 8 rounds you get per target. So, but he just like punches them. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. Then it's my engagement, commander's engagement. So I'm down there. I'm waiting for it. I know it's coming up, and I don't want to look stupid for the commander's engagement in front of all these guys. I don't want to look like a newbie. So I've been kind of practicing UCOF and stuff. So I was like, man, that thing was coming up, and I was laying on it. I'm like, come on, lay down, get the range right, you know. Make sure we're all safe and shit. Man, I'm looking through the sight. That thing comes up. Boom, 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 it's coming up. Boom, 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 boom. I'll lay that thing down and go, stop shooting. I'm like, oh shit, sorry, man. It was too cool. So we go down. Then tragedy hit.
Oh, good.
And the fog rolled in because it's wild flicking. And then they're like, can you see the targets?
Can't see shit.
Can't see nothing.
Can't see shit.
All right, we're gonna wait. We're gonna leave you down range and wait. All right. Can you see the targets yet? No. Can't see nothing.
It's been about 45 minutes.
Dude,
it's getting worse actually.
2.5 hours later.
Yep.
I finally finished my engagement. We were lying. After Bob, me and Gomez was like, yep, sure, study as hell down here. Yep, bring that target up. Yep. And we just, because it wasn't gunnery or anything. We're just shooting. It's like a familiar fire or something.
Oh, so this wasn't even gunnery yet. This is your BT.
No, this is just.
Not even that.
This isn't even that. It's just, let's go up there and have fun and blow ammo off
just
type thing.
Learn
ran it. It didn't. You know, we just shoot some tables.
Your pre-fire safety.
So we went and we get back. And the TC evaluator, BCE, I think it was Schmidt. First of all, he says, because I gave that fire command wrong in the beginning, because I was like, got a heat tank. And he goes, you're not firing heat, and there ain't no tanks out there. Because I used to the Sheridan fire commands, and we didn't practice no fire commands on this thing, you know? I mean, I went up there knowing absolutely, I was the most safety hazard thing on that range that day. But one thing I learned, I said, I will never send anybody else downrange as fucked up as I was. And I will never go downrange this fucked up again. And which I ended up.
Did you get like a day notice before?
It's about 3 weeks. It was.
And you couldn't go look at it?
I mean, not the range, but I mean...
No, the tank.
The Bradley?
Yeah.
I mean, we were in the back, we were trying stuff. I mean, I knew how to disassemble the gun and stuff like basic stuff, but I just...
When it's all in motion, it's
you can't practice loading the gun because you don't have ammo. You got dummy ammo, but what do you have that?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm like, fuck, dude. I think it was just before we went up to the border, so... Maybe we were back. Because I think because when we came back to the border, we went over to Con, and we were in Con Barracks. So I'm up there, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So, hey, first of all, there's no tanks out there. You're not fire heat. Yeah. And they're saying, well, how can you have your head that far out? How can you be so far out and fire? And I'm like, brother, that's a 50 cal firing right there. I said, that thing ain't shit compared to a Sheridan when it fires.
Yeah.
So I went through that gunnery, and then after that, I ended up doing another gunnery. Me and Gomez qualified. We did pretty good.
The PFC Gomez, right?
Yeah, he made corporal.
Good job.
I was like, good job, Gomez.
Yeah, good for you.
So when I went to BNOC in Graf, in Hohenfels, had to do BGST. So I remember, man, it was funny as shit. Still had never done a complete BGST my whole life. Didn't done none. So I'm like, so this guy, the instructor, Nuapaluso, Sergeant Nuapaluso, big Samoan dude. He's at the station. Nice. How to load the gun. And he's like, and right now, about the only thing I don't know how to do is load the gun. I just don't know how to do it.
Because you're just commander in charge of all that.
Roger that.
You just didn't do it.
So I looked at Nuapaluso, and he reads me the task condition standards and everything. And I said, Sergeant New, you want me to load this gun like I do at my unit? Just like at your unit. Roger that. So I jump over to BC seat, pop the seat down, stand up. Gomez, load the gun. And he goes, Sergeant, what are you doing? I'm like, that's how I load this gun, so I ain't got a clue. You can give me a no-go right now. I don't give a shit. I said, but that's how I load this gun. Gomez, load the gun. And that's it. He's like, you don't know? I said, not a fucking clue.
Not a goddamn.
So I dropped down. He goes, and he's the first guy that gave me a class on how to load the gun. So I was like, God damn, man, this is pretty complex, but I think I got it.
Yeah.
And after that, I was good. Which is good, because when I went to go gun for the colonel,
yeah,
the colonel's like, Sergeant Oxford, load the gun. Because he didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue either.
No.
He didn't.
And he's not supposed to. I mean, supposed to, but not, yeah.
That guy didn't have a fucking clue. Yeah. He didn't even show up for gunnery. So,
That's
I'm
colonel.
Colonels? The colonel should be the first vehicle downrange. So, if not the first, maybe the first or second. So that's what my standard in my head is, and all this other stuff. So, Colonel's gunner, I'm like, hey, we're going to go do table 6. There's 6, 7, and 8. Here's your tables. So I roll up for table 6, and I'm in the first troop, Alpha troop, I think it was Alpha troop, whatever the lead troop was, and I'm like, hey, Colonel's gunner, we're going to go down range. I'm like, all right, go ahead. I mean, I'm like, well, when the colonel gets, when are you going? When the colonel gets here. He'll be here in a minute.
Yeah.
2 platoons later.
Yep.
I'm like, well, he can't. Then all of a sudden, like, somebody showed up and like, hey, the colonel ain't going to make it today.
Oh, thanks. Great. Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Love that.
We run through that. I think we got to the 2nd troop, and me and the 3's gunner were both kind of realized this shit ain't going to happen. So he TC'd me for my run, and then I TC'd him for the 3's run, but it was messed up because by that time I'd been so used to being a BC, I would give the fire commands, but like I'd be looking through my sights, I'd see a target come up and be like, gunner truck PC first, whatever. But I would give the commander's version part of the fire command, and then Bierce was over here in the BCC doing the gun. Like, identified. So we're confused.
Yeah.
And then when I got over to BC, it was just like, no big deal. So I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, colonel in here. All right. He's sure. Table 6 or table 7. Table 6 don't give a shit about it. Stationary gunnery, not a big deal. 7 is a trade up for 8, a practice for 8. So I'm like, all right, Colonel's gonna be here a minute.
Yep.
Colonel gonna be here. Alpha troop goes by.
Yep.
Bravo troop goes through. I was like, God damn, was we going to shoot the aviation troops? What the fuck? Charlie comes in. We're like the last platoon of Charlie in the day. And he did what always pissed me off, like when I was a master gunner and when I was just a regular line dog. Colonel comes in, drops in. Now, I had made him these 5x8 cards with all the fire command on it.
Wow.
In order of the engagements, because I've been sitting on these ranges watching all these engagements.
That's a good NCO right there.
And I'm like,
that's a good NCO.
Here you go, sir. I said, they're in order. Then he's like, I'm like, oh, don't get my fucking order, man. Fucker. I said, sir, let me look at him real quick. Okay, there you go. So I hand him so here's the other thing. So we were safety conscious, super safety conscious, because when I got to Germany, the M1, 2 things had happened. The M1 had shot the 2 Bradleys, which that's another whole little war story I'll get to because that intersects with me in the 82nd.
Yeah.
And then there had been a turret fire in an M1, and a kid had been lap loading around, and then the whole thing just flamed up and burnt everybody, killed everybody.
Jesus Christ.
So, everybody's real, don't smoke the turrets and all this other stuff.
Don't lap load. Don't.
Well, you don't lap load a Bradley, but it's all links. It's a big 50 cal.
Oh, okay.
So then I'm like, okay, man. Well, Colonel comes in finally, and like I know this guy. Matter of fact, I didn't even do UCOF with him. He ended up me and Bierce did each other in UCOF too, and it was crazy. So I get in there, and Colonel drops in the turret, sparks up a cigarette, doesn't have his CVCUs on. He's like, Sergeant Ox, ready to go?
That motherfucker.
I was like, and I didn't really think about it because I used to be smoking turrets and stuff like that. Everybody smoked and stuff. So I was like,
wait a minute.
Series cards, we're going to do it, And then we just bust in the line.
Yp.
So we bust in the line, as usual. Our hot mic didn't work. I was like,
every time.
I was like, God damn it.
Comms are down.
Got down. So we ended up making this freaking run. And I told him, hey, sir, when we get to this point right here, our comms are going to go down. It's a dead space. We just keep rolling because of an offensive engagement. We're going to go over this little knoll hill thing. We come in, everything kicks back on. We'll be fine. Because I've been watching it for 2 weeks almost. We get that spot, sure as shit. Tower, you got me? Tower, you got me? We got a comms issue. All right. Sir, I just fucking told you. And I was like, driver, keep going. No, Stardogs, we can't go anywhere. We got, I'm like, fucking me, man. So, we ended up making that run, and we did okay. But every time I gunned for that guy, man, it was something.
You got a gun from him again?
I gunned for that guy. I shot up at wild flicking with him again. We did a gunnery wild flicking. We did a gunnery graph. And every one of them was a goddamn catastrophe. And he would just do the same thing, man. And then when I found out, he would hang out and graph at a hotel. Well, we're living in the goddamn...
In the field?
In the field.
In the dirt?
And it supposedly was his girlfriend signal or whatever. But I was like, motherfucker, dude. That guy, he was terrible. He taught me exactly what poor leadership was. Because he was the epitome of it.
Yeah.
So I got with them guys. So then I went back to Bragg. And when I went back to Bragg, man, it was funny because this is where, I asked about JD last time. So me and JD were in reception together.
Okay.
And we showed up at gunnery. The battalion was going out to gunnery. And the first sergeant was Bob Johnson, who'd been my platoon sergeant before I left.
It's still funny when you say Bob Johnson because it's just such a bland name.
Well, there's Bob Johnson, then there's Bobby Johnson.
Yeah.
And then...
It just sounds like John Doe. Like
then there's Bobby Jones.
Yeah.
And then there's Snoopy Bobby Jones. So, I mean... But those guys. Yep. So, I show up, and I get done with day one at reception. And when I showed up at reception, I came walking up the stairs, and it was evening. And I had your mom, and your mom was... She wasn't with me, but she was like waiting in a car or something. And I was squared away because I'd been there before. So,
And what year is this?
90.
This is after your whole stay in Germany. So.
Yeah, it was after Germany, so it was 92.
Yeah. Oh, 92.
Winter of 92.
You know what happened in 92?
No. Yeah, it was the end of 92. Well, Lee was born.
My brother.
No, he was already born. He was born in March of 92. We PCS.
That's what I'm saying, is in 92.
Yeah. So we end up showing
Today, my brother was born.
What?
Today.
Yo, today's his birthday.
Today is my brother's birthday, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he ended up. So I was going back to John. I was in Charlie Company when I left last time, and then I was in Alpha Company when I came back. And Bob Johnson was the first sergeant then, and he picked me up. I wanted to go see him because our barracks were right next to the cherry farm. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, First Sergeant Johnson?" He's like, "Hey, Ox, glad to see you. Great. This is your platoon sergeant. This is your platoon leader. Hey, how you doing?" That's when I met Giver.
That guy.
And he's like, and this is what kind of blew some of them people away in there, because this new guy comes walking in. Well, when I got the reception, I walk in, and they're like, I'm like, "Hey, I'm Sergeant Oxner. I'm signing in." They're like, "Sergeant Oxner, we don't know who you are, but you got a message already. Someone's waiting for you to come in." And it was my buddy Chodnicki, he'd been my roommate. Now he's a lieutenant down in the 325 or down in the infantry.
Oh, so he was your roommate as an NCO?
Yep.
Enlisted?
Yep.
And then green gold?
Green gold.
Damn, nice. Okay,
And,
that sounds like it was pretty quick.
Yeah, he retired colonel, lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
But
was he like an E3 before he went, or?
no, we were E5.
Oh, E5.
So we went to so I walk in, first sergeant, what's going on? And they're like, I mean, you're not even like walking in and standing parade rest of the first sergeant.
You're hot shit, huh?
Bob Johnson. and the thing is, in the armor community, things were just a little bit more casual. I mean, I wasn't disrespectful or anything. Don't get me wrong. I
But
stood
you
up,
need to be a robot.
but I had to be a robot. I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's our sergeant. That's a sergeant doctor report for commander."
Roger that, Staff Sergeant. Move on. Carry on.
And Bob's, and I'd send him an email, and he never answered me. And he was like,
You never.
because he's like, "Ox, I got your email." I don't answer that shit. I'd send him a letter, not an email, a letter. He goes, "Yeah, I got your letter. I know you're coming. I've been waiting for you. Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Sergeant J, or First Sergeant J now." And so we're bullshitting. He goes, "Hey, we're going to gunnery. This is your platoon you're going to, and this is you're going to do this. You're going to do that." He had me lined up, set up, go up and meet them guys. I'm like, "Okay." And they'd never been to 82nd. Giver had never been to 82nd. He didn't know a fucking thing about that sheridan.
Platoon sergeant and commander, or just the
Platoon sergeant and platoon leader.
Yeah.
They don't fucking know what's going on. Which, no shitter.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Of course.
I showed up, and I'm like, "Hey, let me go down and look at the tank." All right, so I went to, the next day at reception, I went out, and I went down to the motor pool after they cut us loose. And I'm in this tank with this kid, I forget his name, man. But things had shifted a little bit. Like, when I was in Charlie Company, dude, we did all the maintenance. Your crew did the maintenance. If it broke, you fixed it. In your turret, you didn't depend on any mechanics.
No.
Because there weren't enough mechanics.
Yeah.
Plus, they didn't know either because they weren't trained on this shit. And you were getting all your training from dudes who'd been on it.
Yeah.
So, I show up and I'm like, "God damn, dude." He says, "Well, we got a problem with this." We're like, "What are you waiting for?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, the mechanics are saying.
Never heard of them.
Hold on. Why don't you just sit there in that TC seat? I'm in the loader's hatch." It's that fucking quick airborne. I don't know what the fucking problem was. So Jay comes out and he's like, "Ox," he says, "Here's the deal." He's like,
You're kind of a fucking asshole.
No. He like later on, he's like, "Ox, here's the deal." He says, "I'm supposed to take you out." He says, "I talked to him down there." He says, "As soon as you get your TA-50, you don't got to do any of that bullshit other stuff they got going on.
Damn.
Once you get your TA-50, which is like day 3, he said, I'm going to pick you up the next morning, 5 o'clock, be there ready for chow, and I'm going to take you out to gunnery."
First on himself. Damn.
And I was like, "God damn, Jay." He goes, "Hey, I could take you out that afternoon, but I'm going to let you get that last piece of pussy before you go out." I was like, "Well, thanks, Jay." So I get out to gunnery, and and I talked to JD and stuff like that when I saw that whole event. I think we talked about it last time. When absolute funniest thing. So I meet JD. He's He's got his little beret on. He's got a 17 cam flash.
He's like, I'm not
going there.
I'm not going. Yeah,
but
sure.
And then I seen that little giver come walking over. Because Giver was only 4 foot tall.
Fucking shit.
And then next up, no. I see the whole argument go on, and I'm laughing.
Comes right back. He's like, oh shit.
I'll see you at gunnery, buddy.
Yeah.
So we get to gunnery, and JD's like, hey. And once again, he doesn't know what's going on. He'd been on Humvees in Germany.
It sounds like a tradition.
It is a tradition.
Enter gunnery without knowing shit.
Enter gunnery without knowing what the fuck's going on. So I'm like, look, dude. So I gave him as much advice as I could. I told him, I said, look, here's the deal. And we got thermal sights while I was gone. Damn. So the M60 thermal sight. So it looks like
didn't give a fuck about the fog anymore.
No, you still do. So it's like that big, and you're like looking into a big scope, man. It was like a fishbowl because the M60A3 sight. It was fucking awesome. Because we had this 44 and we had to use the searchlights and IR. So I'm up there, and I'm like, look, dude, here's the deal. I said, you got 2 choices when you're in that turret. I said, if you're gonna gun, if you're gonna pull the trigger, you got 2 choices. Either, and you got to make them, they're distinct. If you're gonna hold on to the traverse handle, hold on to that thing for dear fucking life.
The
traverse handle makes the turret go.
Traverse?
Traverse.
Okay.
We call it traverse.
Never heard it called traverse.
Well, it's the traverse handle, but I don't know. Either way. So we're up there, So there was that. And then you got your elevation over here.
Yep.
And then your trigger's on your thumb.
Really?
So
That's pretty good.
The trigger's right there on your thumb. And then when you look into your day sight, which is the 127, because that's what I was used to, which was dome, but it was what I was used to, you either put your eye in the sight and you lock your fucking neck in there, and then you lock your arm here, and you ride that puppy, man. Because you're like, and you just let that thing kick your ass back.
That sounds terrible.
Or
you take your eye out.
This is what JD opted for, because he got smart. He used the thermal sight. You lay on your target, and then you back up, and then you take your hand off of that traverse handle, and then you fire. Bam! And it goes, psst, and you're like...
And you can just see from the thermal that you're still on target.
Yeah, you use the thermal. See, I didn't even think about using the thermal, because I just wasn't used to it.
Maybe if you learn how to do fire.
Maybe if I learned, maybe somebody taught me.
Crazy, right?
So I'll get up there. So we end up, and I said, look, here's the deal, dude. I said, I have too many bad habits. I've been through, this is like my 3rd or 4th gunnery. I'm shared as a gunner. And I was like, here's what's going to happen. I said, you're going to outshoot me. You're going to buy the high 8s, maybe a 9. I said, dude, I'll be lucky to qualify, and I'll probably get about, I said, I'll be lucky to get 8. I said, I'm going to qualify, but I'm going to get about an 8. 700 is qualified, 800 is superior, 900 is distinguished. So we went through that whole freaking gunnery, man, and sure as shit, I got Lieutenant Ussery, who's a great American, but he's Jack Ussery, the All-American boy, and he's 6'4" or 5", man.
This is the Jack you're telling me about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's huge.
Yeah.
So what we do is, the other thing I told him, hey, when we go to do the battle sight engagement, it's lay on your left target, and it's just over this, there's a cut, lay on that target, fire that target, traverse 17 cranks,
Jesus Christ.
will put you center mass of the left-hand target.
Yeah.
Or if you're on the left hand, go right hand, but it's 17 cranks between the target, center mass. So everybody knew that. It was like, gimme. So we do the NBC engagement. NBC engagement, everybody's got to be buttoned up. So I'm like,
what's that stand for then?
what?
NBC?
NBC.
NBC? Oh, NBC.
NBC, wear your mask and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm in my NBC engagement. Seaburn. And what I had to do was I laid down where I knew the target was going to come up. Once again, there's only one range at Bragg. I laid down where the target was going to be, and then Jack would come down and close his hatch. He had to close the hatch. Loader closes his hatch, and then I would lay down underneath the sight like this, and then he would be looking through the frickin' through the periscopes, which were half covered with paint anyway. Yeah. You couldn't see shit. And he's out there looking. I don't know if he had his binoculars. I don't know what he was doing up there because his knees were in my back.
Yeah.
And he's kneeling on top of me, and he'd be like, gunner heat tank, or gunner battle sight tank. I put identified. You gotta say something. Driver up. Then I go 1,000, 2,000. Felt the little rock. Bam. Pull the trigger.
Damn.
No clue. No clue. And then target, ceasefire, drive back up. And then we all clear, all clear. We come up. And I'm like, did I hit it? And he's like, yeah, man, you're center mass on it.
Yeah.
Woo.
Would have never guessed it. Did you have to wear a mask for that then?
Yeah, I had to wear a mask.
You really had to wear a mask. And then so I was going to ask, because if the tank is, just because you button up doesn't mean gas can seep through.
Buddy, it's a 1950s tank, man. There's no seals. It ain't like the M1 with overpressurization and that shit.
Really? It's kind of...
And then we were doing one, I think we were on table 7. And we rolled down. The loader could see the target. The driver could see the target. Tank commander could see the target. I could not see the target. There was something in the way. And that's what they're about is, the Sheridan is the last gunner's tank. There's no commander's sight. He just had, his sight is a pair of binos.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and there's no laser. There's a laser rangefinder where there's a hole for one to put one in, but it's always broken, so you leave it out.
Of course.
But, so I'm sitting up there, and, Jack's like, gunner heat tank, can't identify. It's right there, Ox. Look to your left. Nothing. It's right there. Here's the dumbest thing you'll ever see in gunnery, because it happens all the time. I've done it. Everybody's done it. Your gunner is down in a hole somewhere.
Yeah.
At your feet.
Yeah. And you're
up there pointing at stuff.
Yeah.
It's over there. It's right there. And you're like, well, fuck. Oh, sure.
Well, fuck, man.
You're looking. You're back there looking up at them, and it's like over there. And I'm looking through the Unity window. I couldn't see shit. But the problem was there was a pine tree in my field of view.
Yeah, in the...
So
you're like right on top of them, a little bit to the left, or a little bit to the right.
Off to the side, I don't know.
And it's still just enough where...
And it was far enough out there. It wasn't like it was, right in front of me.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 400 or 500 meters down.
Of course.
But it was enough in my sight
where
it obscured it and blocked it.
Yeah.
It's fucking loader. I think Smith was his name. That fucking retard. He's up there. It's right there, Sergeant. It's right there. And I'm like, I'm gonna kick you in the fucking nuts. Why don't you just shut the fuck up? So finally, I just said, fucking identified. We rolled up. I wouldn't even look. Like on the way. Whoom, sent that round down range, and you're whoom. And then you hear everybody get quiet. Like I'm like, target, short, short one target for him, whatever.
Raise, drop.
And then all of a sudden I hear the driver and the loader and yeah! And I'm like, what the fuck? Drive back up. Drive back. So I was like, what the fuck happened? I hit the tree.
And
I knocked a chunk out of the tree.
Holy shit.
And then it fell back on its own stump.
Holy shit.
And they were waiting for it to fall. They're like, that's what everybody's like. What? And then it eventually fell, and they're like, yay!
Jesus.
And then I went back in the sight. I'm like, oh, there's a fucking target.
Yeah, hey, wow, there it is.
Hey, can we re-engage?
Did you went through the tree and hit the target, though?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't remember what happened.
Tree was the target.
We were all just excited about the tree thing.
Yeah, of course.
So we just let that go. Yeah. So I was like, fuck. So anyway, that gunnery, I ended up qualifying. I think got an 8-something, 803, low 8s. JD got like an 890 or 880 something. I was like, fuck, this is the gunnery we're going to get.
Yeah.
And so we're out there on a day when nothing's going on. And there's some weird truth. When you go to a new company, even though you've been in that organization before, that company, there's always weirdos in there that you didn't know because you were over in different companies.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
So I'm sitting there, and everything's pretty cool. Freddie Morris was the master gunner, and he was getting ready PCS to Korea. And Russ Bailey was the commander. Good dude. And I'm standing there, and I'm talking to this dude, this staff sergeant. And we're just looking at the range. We're standing there just watching somebody make a run down range. We're just there. And I don't just casual conversation or something. Like, the guy's going to make it. What are you thinking? What range are we looking at? This guy looks at me. He's like, staff sergeant, right? I was like,
I don't give a damn.
I was like, okay, staff sergeant. We'll go Marine Corps on you right now. Just staff sergeant.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the way he said it was like, out of the blue, man.
And you're a sergeant.
I'm a sergeant. I'm promotable. And I'm like,
don't give a damn. All right, big boss.
You're a nut job, aren't you?
Okay, el jefe.
So then, to make matters worse, we had one of them days when we had a lot of ammo to burn. So I forget what we did. And we're out there just firing 50 cal. Like everybody's firing 50 cal. Firing 50 cal. Letting the privates get up there and shoot 50 cal. All this shit going on. And I forget what happened. I can't remember what set it off. But Giver gets pissed off at something. Like we didn't fire enough ammo. Oh, we've had an extra can of ammo after they gave ceasefire or something. And he gets pissed off and he kicks his fucking helmet down range. Now, he didn't kick it very far. Probably should have broke his foot, and Russ Bailey looks over at me like it's my fault. Like, can you get a grip on your toddler? But whatever he did, he shut the range down for a little bit. I can't remember what it was, but he's like...
Wait, kick it in front of the gun line?
I don't know what he did. I can't remember what it was, but he did something. And you're like...
You're done.
Like, Sarnox. I'm like, what are you looking at me for? You know? Fuck, dude, I'm the new guy here. You know? But they're like, yeah, you're the new guy, right?
Yeah, sure you are.
So I'm like, oh, god damn it, okay. So, end up, I gunned for him, and I got, we did okay. And then we got back, about a month later, now, here's the deal. I was laying low and taking it easy. I was on the coast.
Yeah.
Because when I was in Germany, I'd gone, gunned for the colonel, so I was a section sergeant. So I'm a section sergeant time. I'd been a BC, and so that's 3 years in Germany. I was in, command positions and stuff like that. So when I got to back to Bragg, and they're like, "Hey, you're the LT's gunner," I was like, "Oh, Roger that." So this guy named Yankowski was the TC for 1-2, Alpha 1-2, which is the section sergeant.
Yeah. And
he was a sergeant. And then his gunner was Craig Love. And then JD was gunning for Giver. And this guy named Jerry Horn was gunning for this guy named Wilson, who was the wingman to the platoon sergeant, which was a 3 tank. So freaking Jerry Horn and Craig Love were soft. Mm-hmm. They weren't weak, but they were kind of soft targets, right? Now, Giver couldn't yell at me because I was Mr. Experience for the entire fucking platoon. Okay? Couldn't yell at Yankowski because he was a vehicle commander, and had some pull. Couldn't yell at JD because JD was his gunner. So we called Love and Horn, Jerry Horn, pop-up targets 1 and 2. So if the sun did not come up at the correct azimuth, one of them kids was getting an ass chewing by Giver.
God damn.
If anything in the world was wrong, he would crush him. He would pick on him. It would bully him. And you got to remember, Giver was only 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
So it was the funniest fucking thing because he had myopic glasses. So it was like Craig Love said, the frog who peeks through ice cubes.
No.
And had his big blue eyes. And oh my God.
Goodness.
And he was just impressed with himself and impressed with the 82nd and just, he'd never been there before. And he was just, I was just like.
And this was still 1992 or 93? 94.
92.
Yeah.
And so, end of that gunnery, we went and we were doing, either we moved into a live fire portion, we were doing something, I can't remember what was happening. The 3rd platoon was out there shooting live. Now the platoon sergeant for 3rd platoon was a guy named Brantley. Great dude.
His name was Bradley?
No, Brantley.
Yeah.
Brantley. I can't remember his first name. But
Brantley working on Bradley's.
But Brantley he made E8 from there.
Damn.
I knew him as a sergeant major, and then he died of stomach cancer. But that
while
dude,
he was in?
No, while he was in the active duty. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that dude was phenomenal. I love that dude. He was great. He was coming off the trail.
Jeez.
And I think Giver was coming off the trail too. I don't know, but he'd been. I don't know where fucking Giver's coming from. So anyway, once again, new guy, right? Well, I was no. Brantley was new, E7, platoon sergeant. He had a gunner. I can't remember the guy's name. He was new, sergeant. He was new also. But over in 3rd platoon, they had Rick, George, and Ivan, and them twos were like the two freaking playground bullies, man. They were big dudes, and they just like to harass and they fuck with people, and they were everything, right? So I'm up there like day one, and I'm looking at the track. I'm doing some maintenance or some shit like that, and George comes over, and him and I were gonna fuck with me because I'm a new guy, right? And I looked at him and I'm like, "Hey, Airborne, why don't you just shut the fuck up? I got more time in a T10 than you got in that fucking T-shirt. Why don't you get back over to your fucking platoon and I'm gonna out fucking shoot your ass?" And they're like,
"All right, I didn't mean it.
Relax. Who the fuck are you?" And then they chilled out, and I told them, "Hey, look, I was over in Charlie Company. We got around, we hung out.
Good.
They weren't bad guys, but they just liked them. They were them dudes.
They
were the heavies.
If
you had to
punch
prove
them in the mouth, then they would leave.
Yeah. And they're pretty. Rick George was crazy. He's dead now too.
Fucking just drop that on you, don't
he it was funny as fuck. He was throwing some track up on the side of his Sheridan to get it up on the side, and it fell back and hit him on the head. It's like boom, and he's like, "Ow, that hurt." I was like, "Fuck, dude, you just got hit by like 100-pound track block." You fucking head. But that was them guys.
That's not what killed him, though.
No, that's not what killed him. He had pancreatic cancer or something. He just died like last year.
Oh, okay.
So we're out there in freaking and it's at Nightfire. Well, they had a new guy, Butler, I think his name, but that may be wrong. And these two fucking guys, they told Butler, "You ain't a man unless you ride the breach." Right. So, riding the breach, this is what they told him. You take your hand, your fingers, and you put it on the breech. Oh. And when it fires, you ride the breech back with your hand. Me about this. Yes. And I was like, hell no. When I heard about this, I was like, fucking criminals. So this fucking Muldoon, number one, Brantley. Now, Brantley was a big, tall black dude, right?
Okay.
So, big, tall people, especially skinnier people, you had to watch them when you're TCing because their knees would kind of get in the breach. So when I was a loader, I would always go back and slam, and I had Lieutenant Chase, and he was kind of knocking me. So I was always hitting his freaking knee, knocking it to clear the breach. And so this kid Butler had his freaking hand on the fucking breach, and that fucking gun fired, and that thing took his hand and flipped his hand back at the wrist, bent it back on his forearm, drove his elbow through the fucking radio.
God. Stop.
And then they were trying to get him out, and everybody's out there screaming. They're trying to get him out of the freaking hatch.
With fucking half an arm
with his fucking arm all fucked up. Yeah. And he passed out, just getting him out. They evac him. And then he was telling, he says, when I woke up, they're like, how do you want to have your wrist fused for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
So that dude ended up with his wrist, whatever, all fucking, whatever. I mean, he's like he kept his arm. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I heard that. I was like, who the fuck told him that?
Yeah.
So.
The playground bullies.
I was like, that ain't good. And Brantley's kind of like, well, there's my fucking job.
You keep talking about gunnery, and I've never really done tanks, of course. And is that just a test? You're like a yearly test?
Yeah, it's a biannual, so do it twice a year.
Okay.
Qualification. So what consists of 3 different tables. Used to be 6, 7, 8. Now they changed the number. You can't put there. They're 4, 5, and 6 up there now. But you do table 6, stationary gunnery. Mm-hmm. So you're stationary, and the targets pop up, and you shoot them. Pow, 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 pow. And you do a day run and night run.
Oh.
And then
they don't separate those tables. Like a day and night table.
Well, there's a day table and a night table.
But it's all still table 6.
But it's all table 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then you do table 7, which is moving and stationary, and then there's a night engagement. And there's 10 engagements for 1,000 points.
Okay.
You're timed down.
Throughout these 3 tables?
No.
Oh.
Throughout each table.
Okay. I see.
The rule of thumb is if you do good on table 7, you're going to bolo table 8. Just kind of weird. So when you get up there and you get to table 8, that's your qualification run. So that's where it's... And that's why I was making a big deal of it when I was at 4.9. And you know, we do some units, like when I got to Germany, Bravo Troop, for Bradley Table 8, they do a wine toast, and they'd have steak and eggs in the morning, and some units go all out for Table 8, man. Freaking Table 8, they're all out. So we go through this gunnery, kid gets dorked up. So I end up becoming, we're doing services down in the motor pool a couple months later. Ski, I think, was taken. He was doing college, so he used to be able to get a semester off for college as a reenlistment bonus.
Yeah.
And Giver comes down. Remember, I'm in coasting mode, but now I'm working on 3 tanks because I'm working on 1-1, my tank, 1-2, Ski's tank because he's gone, and then they'd always assign, like, the commander's tank was assigned to 1st platoon. And was that 1st platoon? Anyway, our platoon, and then XO's was to another platoon. So, because then they'd have somebody to support them. So I'm down there. So I'm working, and a guy named Nielsen, he was gone. So I was working on 5-5. So I had, I had 1-1, working on 1-2, supervising that, and then 5-5. So I got 3 tanks. I'm trying to run through services, help the crews out. I'm the only guy who knows what's fucking going on. Okay. On services, you pull packs and all this other stuff. So we're doing that. Craig Love and Merkovich over on 1-2 squared away guys. They knew what was going on. Fuck, who was my driver? My loader on the other tank on 1-1. And then the crew was Roger. He's special forces dude. Roger was over there. And this guy named Birkeland was on 2-3 with over there. So Giver comes down. He goes, Sergeant Oxford. I'm like, hey, what's going on, Sergeant Giver? How you doing? You know, why are you in the motor pool? Fucking, you don't want to get your BDUs dirty. And he's like, I was looking at your 2-1, which was your ERB, whatever, your records. And he said, you have data rank on Sergeant Yankowski by 2 years.
Jesus.
And I was like, you want to check the numbers? He says, why didn't you tell me you outranked Sergeant Yankowski? I'm like, Sergeant Giver, I'm doing, gave him some song and dance and shit. He goes, you are now the tank commander for 1-2. And I was like,
motherfucker.
Fuck. I mean, my workload didn't change. Now I was just charge of 1-2. So then I picked up, that's when Craig Love, and then I had Merkovich loading for me. And eventually had Kincaid driving for me. So we do all that, and in celebration, memorial of the crash last week at Fort Bragg, which was the 20-year anniversary when the C-130 F-16 hit, and it killed all these people, and it tore it up, killed a bunch of guys at Green Ramp. It's called the Green Ramp accident.
Jesus.
And your Uncle Jim was almost there.
Okay, great.
So when that happened, I was at gunnery. Fucking, we were all hanging out at gunnery. On range 63, I was about to make my run, and they're like, hey, stand down. Matter of fact, I was making my run. I was on my second engagement, I think. Or at least my first one, because we fucked that one up. And, that was a gunnery from hell with Craig Lover, first gunnery. That was. Anyway, so.
Well, then good thing it stopped, huh?
It didn't help. So anyway, they call up and they say, hey, look, and I'm like, fuck, okay. And a bunch of infantry guys got killed and stuff. I'm like, what unit? And they're like, well, I'm like, okay, because your Uncle Jim was there. Yeah. And then, so JD comes over and says, man, why aren't you more upset? Aren't you worried about your brother? I said, fuck, dude, my brother he will avoid a jump for nothing. I'm absolutely positive my brother is not there. Well,
turns out.
No. So your mom calls the staff duty. So that the staff duty can get word to me that Jim was not there. Jim called her up and said, hey, I wasn't there. Everything's cool. I know a lot of guys was. I mean, it was a fucking travesty, man.
No, that sounds terrible.
It killed a bunch of dudes. I think 20-something dudes fucking killed them.
The C-130 crashed into an F-16.
Yeah, the F-16 crashed into the C-130. One was trying to, I don't know, we fucking like it. And he ejected, and then the F-16 ejected, and that F-16 just landed on the flight line.
Yeah.
and then all this shit blew up and it went flying toward. You got to read it. But guys were getting ready to jump. They were in mock door.
Oh no!
So they're all standing there in mock door in a straight little pretty line. And they said the guys that survived were the guys that were on the opposite door that were looking at it, and they saw it coming in, and they all ducked and got out of the way. And then the guys who had their back to it, not a chance, killed him. Killed the fucking gut truck driver. They didn't find him.
Gut truck.
They didn't find him till they were picking up pieces of, like 2 days later. They're like, they lifted up a C-130 or a wing or some other shit. There's some wreckage up somewhere.
Found a whole truck.
Found a gut truck driver. Yeah. So they're like, fuck, killed the gut truck driver.
God, no, that does sound terrible.
But the whole thing was devastating.
Yeah.
So, so what was crazy about it was, so we're beginning this run. Now, there are it's an electrical turret on the Sheridan. So you've got an override. I have a commander's override. It's a pistol grip looking thing. Then the gunner has one too. You never touch those in gunnery. Because if you do, you can't get a good lay with it, first of all. And then you never know what's going to happen with it. You never know what's going to happen. It might just take off. So I screwed up and I put my binos hanging on my clamshell on this side. And that's my leg is up against by the override. So we did something, and I looked up, and I don't know what it was. I keep them over here. I looked up, looked at something, and I put them down on this side. Target came up, and I'm like, got our heat tank, and my knee hits it, hits the binos, hits the override. You hear the engines wind up. The gunner has no controls. So
now it's on you.
So now it's fucked that up. So anyway, it didn't work. So we're like, okay, that's cool. And then they did. We ended up doing our run for that gunnery, and we did not qualify.
Yeah.
And we were like,
what's the penalty for not qualifying?
Well, I pretty much thought I lost my job. So I was walking to the company commander, and I was like, I had already, sir, I'm ready to go down. I'll make me a gunner again. I fucked it up. Take my tank away. I fucked this one up. It's my fault. So I could walk it up. We'd had a rough gunnery, man. Fucking Craig. Craig could hit any target with his fucking eyes closed.
Fuck.
Unless we were shooting table 8. Then we'd choke on table 8. So we've been shooting the same target. And it's always the same targets.
Yeah, just different ways.
Just different presentations, a different order of shooting the targets. But it's the same engagement. So we go to shoot this one. We've been shooting this fucking thing all week. Goddamn Craig loves smashing them fucking targets, man. Bam! I'm like, yeah, we're fucking 1,000, baby. We're gonna do good. Got our heat tank 1,200 meters because it's a precision engagement. Craig's like, we've been shooting this thing. This is like the 3rd time we shot at this target over thing. Hit it every time.
Of course.
Ox, what do you think that is? What do you think the range on that is? I'm like, fuck, dude, I just told you. It's usually about 1,100 or so. Fucking short lines it. I'm like, goddamn, I had one target for him. Fire. Bam. Gets it. I'm like, goddamn, Craig. And then we're down and we're doing a retrograde. And Craig fires. In a retrograde, your gun is over the side. And the bad thing about a Sheridan is, if you're not perpendicular and you don't have that whole tank to accept that recoil, dude, that motherfucker gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like this. We fire and I hear, and I'm like, what do you mean, gunner, gave all fireman. What the fuck? Ox. I think I broke my fucking wrist. I'm like, you weren't holding that goddamn thing. I wasn't holding it tight. I said, God damn it, Craig. Fuck. So we go back. He broke his wrist.
He did. Wow.
Broke his wrist. And
what was he holding on to?
Huh?
What was he holding on to?
The traverse handle.
Oh, yeah.
He was fucking pussy gripping it. He was like, maybe you're not. Because it'll come out, it'll rip out of your hand and come back and slap you in the fucking wrist.
Oh, fuck.
And you got this thing right here. It's called no back springs.
Yeah.
It's like when I was gunning in Charlie Company for Wagner, we got this new tank, but the no backs were bad on it. So that thing would just fire and rip that fucking thing out of my hand. So I was like, fuck, I'm not breaking my wrist on this thing.
Fuck.
So I got in there and I grabbed that damn thing, and then I had gone to the medics. I got an ace bandage. And I wrapped myself in like I was going to go on freaking big ass bull. So I was locked into that thing, and then Wagner, as usual, was like, "Hey man, I hope they're gonna fire." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I hope they're gonna fire." Because that happened too. We'd have fires in them all the time. So I was gutting that thing. I'm like,
for the whole gunnery.
Whole gunnery, just have a freaking hand locked in. Fucking. So when I gunned for Wagner, the tank had fired by itself. They just do that. They just fucking fired by itself.
They just do that. This entire.
It took me. It was a quest I had until I was a freaking, and I figured it out. Like on my last gunnery as a master gunner, why it was fired by itself. So there's somewhere. So when I was gunning, we got just pissed on in night engagement. We're doing the range card engagement. I mean, just typical North Carolina flood, like water just pouring in on top of it. And then what I think is water just got in between the firing circuit, because there was a little scissor switch. Okay. You pushed here to push that thing in there to complete the circuit.
Okay.
So I'm sitting up there and I'm like, all right, Sir Wagner, lay down. Okay. And he looked over, he looks over at Howard, and I'm looking over at Howard. And he's like, hey, get a ready light. Because you push a ready light, you arm the system. Man, fucking Howard gets that ready light, click, boom, that gun fires by itself. And we're all like, what? And Wagner's looking through like the sight for the laser rangefinder, I don't know, but he was down here like this. He's like, he eats that thing. Oh. I look over, friggin' Howard, to make sure he's alive. Howard's plastered up against the side of the turret. He's like, fuck, his eyes are like fucking sausages, or like saucers. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. So I was like, what the fuck? And then Wagner's yelling at me. I'm like, dude.
I didn't press the button, I swear.
Dude, I never touched anything. My hand was in my lap, waiting for you to give me a fucking fire command. So the mystery started then. Oh, I pulled the trigger one time. Same gun, different gunnery. I was gunning. Porter, another new guy, sergeant. I'm a specialist, but I'm gunning because I know what's going on.
Early on.
And he's over there, and fucking, I pulled the trigger, and the breech opens up, and we're both just kind of laughing. Oh, that's crazy Sheridan shit. Wagner pops down, and he's like, hey, dickheads.
What the fuck?
Do you realize that those two scribe marks at that little nut, they call it the acorn, it'd be between the two scribe marks, and that gun went off, you two would have been fried. Because the breech was opening. Yeah. I was like, me and Porter were like, oh fuck, let's not, I don't know why it happened, but let's not let that happen again. So, anyway, so we go up to gunnery, and I'm walking up to the commander, and I'm like, fuck sir, man, I'm done. I mean, to me, not qualifying at gunnery was just the worst thing you could ever fucking do. I'm ready to get demoted to specialist again. I was fucking,
apocalypse.
Whoo!
World's ended.
So I come walking up to Russ Bailey, he's leaning up against his Humvee. He's like, Sardoc, sir, he says, don't rip off Sergeant Love's nuts. He says, just don't fucking kill him right now. I'm like, ooh, what? He says, that guy's fucking. He said, we'll go, you'll get your extra rounds, we'll Q2 you tomorrow, not a big deal. And I was like,
all right then. Wow. That's awesome.
I was like, that's pretty cool. So I dropped in. Because now we got the night sight. Now, before we had to shoot like a range card engagement and this other engagement. And you might as well been shooting with freaking a set of old nods or something. I mean, with candles. Because you'd lay it in just like you'd lay in for a range card on a mortar. They'd give you a set of coordinates to the target. And you had your azimuth indicator here. And then you level your bubble. You had your bubble and you'd be like, set your bubble for 300 mils, whatever. Okay, and then you just wait. And then they'd say, target illuminated. And it was an IR or something like that. Anyway, you'd be like, on the way. Bam, and you'd fire it. And if your data was on, you'd hit the target. So we go ahead and do that. So I'm like, fuck, dude. So we go back the next day. This is how Sheridan gunnery kind of, it was crazy. So I'm lined up. I got to do the Widowmaker. I got a tank and troops. So it's a 2 set of troops on the tank. Anyway, so I got the freaking engagement. So and we're moving. We got to keep moving. It's a offensive engagement. So we're rolling. So I get down to the battle position. If I hit this, I'm qualified.
Easy peasy.
So I'm like, fuck it, Craig. I said, we destroy this every time, except for this last time. What the fuck, dude? And I was like, just pretend it's table 7 again, man. Me and Markovich are trying to get in his head, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, Ox, I got it. Okay. So, like, okay, Alpha 1, 2, go ahead and lock and load, give us Redcon 1. Okay. Load my 50 cal, he loads the freaking coaxes, loader, Merkovich loads the coax, throws the main gun round in, and we have a little discussion about what we're going to do, because I always rehearse the target, I always rehearsed before. So, and we talked about it, hey, it's going to be this and this. So, I'm like, all right, Mark, give me a ready light. Woo! Gun goes off. And they're like, hey, did you plan to do that? Mm-hmm. Red 2, did you, was that? I said, no, man, it was a Sheridan thing, a gun fired by itself. And they're like, okay, is everybody good down there? Anybody hurt? No, man, we're good. All right, you got enough rounds down there to do this engagement? I'm like, yeah, I got a spare round. He's like, okay, go ahead and lock and load. Let's start this thing again. I mean, nobody blinked an eye.
Yeah.
So we go down, he hits engagement, and fucking qualify.
Finally, fucking qualify.
So, I think that was the last time that was with Bailey. So then we got this new guy, Captain Dice. And then, so that gunnery wasn't the one with the C-130 accident. There was something else. Toe jumper. That's why I had the binos on. Love is like, hey, I said a toe jumper down there because you see Sicily drop zone. I'm like, what the fuck you mean a toe jumper? Holy shit, there's a fucking toe jumper out there on that fucking plane. Sure enough, hey, that's why we shut down. It's because they had a toe jumper on Sicily. So,
what's a toe jumper?
A person who leaves the aircraft but is still somehow attached, either from their equipment or their static line.
Yeah,
it was fucking amazing. So we get this new guy, Kevin Dice, and I like Dice. Dice happened to be going through Jumpmaster school when the C-130s all crashed.
Oh,
during that, he was down there when it happened.
Oh,
and he said after that, he said, we will not go anywhere without at least our LBEs, so we have first aid kits and water.
Yeah.
So he dealt with that. So we're okay. So now we're going to do a live fire. We're doing these platoon live fires. And it just, I don't even know, we weren't great or not. We're just out there, woohoo, and shooting for shooting, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Always.
And for some reason, me and Craig, or my tank, we're going to shoot with our platoon, and then we're going to shoot with second platoon because they were short. So we got Rick Wilson had just taken over as my platoon sergeant, and Derek Willard, who knew Rick in Korea. They both come from Korea. Rick had been there. Rick and I were in Charlie Company together. So Rick had been there as long as I had been there. And now he's a platoon sergeant. He's 7. And I was still fucking E5. So we go down range, and first platoon red, go. So like, oh, roger that. So we go down, and we do the first engagement, no problem. We get down to second battle position, boom, 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 boom. We're tearing up, and I'm kind of, I'm watching stuff, and I'm listening to our fire commands, platoon fire commands. I'm like, God damn, man, 2-3 is not fucking shooting very fast. What the fuck's wrong with them guys? And then we're like, okay, Roger, set. And then all of a sudden I get a call. Hey, this is Red 4. I got engine oil lights coming on, engine pressure lights coming on. And then I got, hey, this is, Red 1. I've got transmission lights coming on.
Jesus.
So I'm like, Roger that. And they're like, hey, Red, go ahead and bound to battle position 3. So I was like, peace out. So me and JD go, he's, 2, 2-3, 2-2 go, or 1-2, 1-3 go down. So me and JD go down range to the next set of battle positions, and we're fighting down there, and I'm like, what, man? I'm up there, bam, 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 and I'm picking up these extra targets. I'm not fucking taking JD so long to fire, And I think Bacon was loading for him, or was gunning for him. I can't remember who it was. So now what Bacon was, he 13. Anyway, so Jerry Horn. So we get back. So we're like, hey, Roger that, we're pulling back. So we go back. The other 2 tanks already have either tow cables or a tow bar behind them. We go up there, we latch into them, and we fucking come back. Get it back to the motor pool. And I'm like, JD, what the fuck is "Why would it take you so long to shoot?" He goes, "Dude," he said, "my LS3 switch that went down." So Birkeland, his gunner, had to manually. Now it's a crank breech, so it's like a screw breech because it's naval. So you got to unscrew the breech, and it goes open, or manually scavenge, which blows all the air out. It blows air down your gun tube, pushing all your crap out the gun tube and all the gases and stuff.
Okay.
Open the breech, throw a round in, close the breech, come back, hit a fucking ready light.
Jesus.
And hit every fucking time. I'm like, oh, dude, man, it's like being a one-armed paper hanger, you know?
Yeah.
You know, one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. So we get up there, and we're going through this thing. I guess, and I made my run with second platoon. And, you know, it's Sheridan gunnery, man. She's fucking breaking. And Captain Dice comes in. I want to talk to the company right now. He's like, "Your guys' maintenance sucks. That's why these tanks keep breaking down." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're kind of new here. Roger that, sir. You're right. Okay, fine." Because I'll tell you what, Craig loved to maintain that tank. Dude, our goal was to have our manual, our overrides and our electricals work. And our heater work. Those are two things, man.
Yeah, of course.
So we're like, okay, cool. He goes down with 3rd platoon. He made a run. And he comes back up and he's like, "Get the company together." And you're like, "Okay, what's up?" And he's like, "I want to apologize to all of you."
Jeez.
He said, "I did not know the devastation that went on in that turret when that gun fires." And he says, "Now I know you guys are doing the best you can." This is what happened.
He had never been in a tank?
He'd never been in the tank, never shot a tank before. He's a brand new guy. He used
So-
to have M1 tanks, but
So he was in there when it shot, and he was like,
no. This is what happened on his run.
okay.
So he's down there, his gunner fires. And he's like, load another round, gives another fire committee. He goes, "Hang on, sir, I got to put the breech motor back on." So he's trying to screw the breech motor back on. So he's got it fixed up. They load another round, he fires again. Oh, I'm sorry. First time, loader's tray goes flying off. He's like, "What the fuck was that?" Loader's tray breaks, because they always break and fall off. You get a new one. I mean, you always have it's fucking always happened. So, brink. So everybody's used to not having one, because they break and they shatter and they go flying. He's like, "What the fuck was that?" That was a loader tray, so don't worry about it. Bam! Load next round. "Hang on, sir, I got to put the fucking breech motor back on." So he tried to put the breech motor back on, put in a screw. "All right, sir, I think we're good for it." Bam! Something else. I mean, just shit in the turns breaking.
Your whole fucking tank rattles.
Oh,
every
man.
time.
It comes up off the 3rd road wheel.
Yeah.
On the recoil. So, you know, he comes back and goes, "I did not know that level of devastation went on." I was like, "Welcome to the Sheridan, Airborne."
Couldn't tell you. You had to figure it out yourself.
Yeah. So then he did, like my first gunnery back, that one I told you when the significant event of that was the fact that not only did I make history, but I made SOP. So,
SOP.
Battalion SOP. I became the battalion SOP.
You're the reason they have safety standards.
Not safety, maintenance standard.
Okay.
So what happened was, it was winter.
Yeah.
So it's cold. So we go down, did a couple engagements on table 6. Come back up. I remember it was nighttime, and I look at the back deck and I see some smoke coming out of the back deck. I'm like, well, let's see what's going on back there. Buddy, we lifted. Mechanics came over. I said, "Man, I don't want smoking over here or something." And I don't know what it was. It could have been just some extra oil being burnt off or something. I don't know. They opened up that back deck, man. And fucking mechanics looked at the pull pack. And I was like,
"Oh,
pull
hell."
pack. Pull pack. Fuck. So I pulled pack. And that was the last time for 68 days that tank was not on the deadline report for missing parts. They took something like 50 assemblies off my tank to cannibalize it.
Jesus.
To get other tanks up.
Yeah.
And
so
then
you were just a zombie. Your tank was just...
But it was just a hanger queen sitting there. I mean, there was nothing to it.
Yeah.
And then so I had to keep jumping tanks, shoot everybody else's tank. And then I had to... That gunnery was so bad that we all ended up Matter of fact, they took like one of the assemblies they took off, road wheel arm, and torsion bar, and had to go put it on somebody else's tank. So I think it ended up the company shot off of one tank.
Yeah.
6.6.
Yeah.
I think that's one we shot off of one tank. So I mean, yeah, our maintenance all kind of sucked. But you know,
so where's the SOP?
Because they're like, all
we're
right,
not doing this shit anymore.
Because of all this shit.
We're not cannibalizing.
Number one, no more than 3 parts will come off a tank.
Yeah.
You know, and then I made history because it was the longest that any tank had been on the deadline report for so long.
Yeah. And pull pack just means take all your shit off.
No. Pull pack means I pulled the engine out.
Oh. Really?
I got good. I got to the point where just with that whole gunnery, I mean, just
the insides, the guts.
No, just plug your tank.
No,
tank
you got good with the guts.
No, yeah, I got good with. So I could pull pack in 11 minutes.
Jesus. Is it really that small? Just like a little lunchbox?
No. It's a big ass transmission with a.
And you took that out in 11 minutes.
Not me personally. We have it disconnected, and then
Yeah,
you bring a wrecker over, and the wrecker. But we could have it ready to pull, and then after a while we can put it back in like less than a half hour. Takes longer to put it in because you got to do all your bolts and make sure everything. Put the fire drives in.
Damn, so they took it out just to take a look at it to see what the fuck was going on.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Jesus.
I don't remember it all, but I know that. Then they're like, "Hey, we need that brake cable. Hey, we need this. Hey,
Yeah.
we need that. We need that. We need that." I was like, "Oh my god."
Not have anything left.
So then I was down there. We did another gunnery. I was gunning I was tank commander in Alpha Company, and sitting up there, and we'd always try to make gunnery easier because it's Sheridan gunnery, man. It's fucking hard. So what we do is we had shadow tanks. They come with this idea of a shadow tank. So what would happen is the tank that's making its run would be going down range, and then there'd be a tank behind it, and it would go behind it, and then like this guy gives fire commands. So this guy knew. So it wasn't a surprise when he got up there to do his live run. So dude, they did all kinds of tricks.
Sounds like cheating.
If you turned in a 24 or 4, you got extra 10 points. If you had a working laser rangefinder, which nobody did, you got an extra like 10 points. If you could pass the beam test for your laser range for your laser transmitter for your missile, you got extra points.
You got points if your tank was maintained.
Basically, yes. So anyway, we're sitting up there, minding our own business, and I'll never forget, man, I had my feet kicked up on 50 cal, sitting in my bathtub, hanging out, looking at Craig, and we're watching this run, and it was Roger was driving. I think it was the XO stake, 5.5, and we're just all right, yeah. And you know, Craig, who knows the range like the back of his hand, he's like, "Hey, Ox, we're up to 1,200 meter over there. Okay, yeah, Roger that, got that." And then we look over, and the 5.5 tank got some shit coming out of it. Like the turret, we see smoke and stuff coming out. We see Roger jump out of the fucking tank, run over and grab the fire extinguisher handle,
Jesus.
pull it. Now what he forgot to do was set the brakes, so it's still broken. You know, at an idle. Fucking crew unasses the fucking tank.
Holy
fucking turret on fire. And we get to it. Everybody get the fuck out of there. Get your tanks out of there. So we turn, and I was right by the range road, and I look up, guess what's coming down to us? Fueler. I was like, turn that fucking thing around, holy shit. Get the fuck out. Okay, go. Pass that motherfucker, I don't care, go. So we got out of so the tank burnt to the fucking ground.
Nobody died though.
Nobody died. Everybody was okay. It was safe.
But he tried. He got that fire suit. He tried.
And nothing happened. That's everything. He pulled it. Nothing happened.
Jeez.
Typical fucking Sheridan.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of some things done wrong. Some things done right, like the asbestos covers for the rounds. They all burnt, but the rounds didn't cook off. Main gun rounds didn't cook off. They stored the missile butt up instead of butt down, so it was when it caught on fire.
Yeah.
It was driving itself down into the ground, but all the fire and everything was going up, and it burned a hole in the turret. And then you could see steel turret, aluminum hull, and it went. And it sank the whole thing down. Man, that thing burned all night. And then you can't do your night run. I'm trying to do a night run. But you got this big, you're using your thermal
carcass.
You got a big bright spot washing everything out.
Jeez.
I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Man. It was fucking hilarious. And Merc got mad because somebody used our tank. And two things they did. Number one, Merkovich, my loader, OCD. That turret was in order and spotless. Whole fucking time. Good. I mean, that guy was awesome. And, but somebody had left my coax open, the coax cover open, the cover on the machine gun, 240 machine gun, open the cover. It was up, and then they depressed the gun, so it jammed it up and it bent my frickin' cover. And Merc was hot. Merc wouldn't even. So he would not even let other loaders straighten up the turret. They'd roll up and get the fuck out! I got it. Get the fuck out of my turret! You're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
And
good.
But they did that, man. Merc lost his fucking mind because Merc was also the armorer. So we did that, and I was like, oh my god, man. Oh fuck. So we went out to a live fire. I was the 1-2. I think it was we just live fire supporting the infantry. And we were kind of like, why are you guys assaulting them bunkers? We could take them out from here. I mean, they're only like 500 meters away. So like,
we got
they're like,
Sando.
then all our training would be gone. I'm like, you do realize you're training to fail.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I was like, dude, I can sit up here and just boom, boom. And it was your uncle's unit. But he wasn't out there. I forget why he wasn't. So we show up and we're like, hey man, sometimes it was 2 tanks would run down. So it would be a tank over this side, tank over this side, or sometimes the tanks would be together. So I'm making my run and it was me and I think Horn was TCing for JD. Maybe it was JD.
Did you still Sheridans?
Yeah, still Sheridans.
You only did Bradley's in Germany?
Fuck yeah.
Never went back.
I just did Bradley's once.
Yeah, that one time.
Fucking. It's a good machine.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like your Sheridans were worse. But.
Yeah. But, so, I look over and we do this run and I'm using my machine guns and stuff. And then we're set. And we're going to do the final defensive fire. You know what those are. And they had some little stick targets, little cardboard targets on sticks up there, like popsicle sticks out there. And they're like, hey, the company commander, I'm on his net. And he's like, all right, whatever whatever his call sign was, we've got enemy armored vehicles, 1,500 meters out. And they're coming in, there's 3 BMPs. And I'm like, really?
Sure.
Red. This is Red 2. 3 BMPs, 1,500 meters, 3 rounds heat at my command. Fire. Boom, 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 boom. We fired. Back up. Hey, Black 5, this is Red 2. Gauge destroyed, 3 BMPs. And I can see the guy over here, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of like, fuck. He's like, whatever, those BMPs are still coming in. And I was like,
Roger that.
Roger that. Red 2. 3 BMPs, direct front, at my command. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I'm fucking him up. Now he's looking at me like, come on. I'm like, hey, gauge destroyed. And everybody has a radio.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm like, yeah, buddy. So he's kind of getting a little pissed off at me. So then he's like, they're almost here. Yeah. Final protective fires. And I'm like,
Roger that.
Red is Red 2. Canister, direct front, alternating fire. I'll go first. Boom. Then G. Boom. 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 And you can see the targets just
turn to dust.
And we're just whoosh. And these guys are all doing it like pew 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 pew.
Suppress.
I've got a machine gun. Mortars. Boom. 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 And we're just like, they're like, Roger that, get on that fucking coax, baby. And then we're firing alternate fire. So it's durr, durr, and they're
Talking
30
guns.
round bursts. And we're just alternating, keeping the guns cool.
Yeah.
Keeping everything.
Talking guns.
Yep. And that commander's like, motherfucker. And I'm like, hey, whatever. So we back up and we go do it. Their commander came over, and the infantry works by sound. So they didn't hear a wall of lead coming from our machine guns. And that's what the colonel wanted to hear. You know, bro, well, we got the Lieutenant Ussery. Lieutenant Ussery was like, yeah, it should be a wall. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. So I had to go in because we were closing on the house. So I come back.
Like an actual house?
My actual house. Your mom and I were moving into a house in Fayetteville. So I come back out, and
It was like 94 again?
yeah. And Merck's looking at me. He's like, I tried to stop him. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, he said Horn was gunning for the lieutenant, and all they wanted to hear was the sound of machine guns going. He says, there wasn't any bursts. It was just...
Let her eat.
And he says Merck was gunning for it, or was loaded or something. Some of the infantry guys came running up or put another box of ammo on the fucking bathtub.
Jesus.
Oh, and they'd blown off my fucking bathtub too. My bathtub had fallen the fuck off, dude.
Not the bathtub.
That's another thing that happened all the time. So, Merck says that they came running up, put a fucking box of crate of ammo on the back of the tank. Merck looked at that shit, kicked it off the fucking back. He's like, fuck that shit. Because it was just cherry orange down there, melting the barrels.
Fuck.
Well, guess what happened?
Commander got relieved.
We got back. No, wasn't that bad. But we go to turn the 240s in, and my 240 and the other 240, they had to break the barrel off because the gas plug had so much brass caught up in it, it had annealed itself in.
God.
So that it destroyed the barrels.
Yeah.
Deadline. Because here's the other thing we didn't know is the fact that so on a 240, the barrel has to stay to the gun.
Yeah.
So every 240 barrel is serial numbered to the gun.
Yeah.
But that serial number ain't on the fucking gun. You got to etch it in or whatever.
True.
But what nobody was checking is the fact that the armorer at the time was just handing out 240s and then barrels.
He would hand them out separately?
Yes. So none of the barrels
matched
the guns.
Yeah.
So that was fucked up. I was like, oh my god. So we ended up tearing up the fucking. Those barrels got fucked up. Deadline. And so Merck was the assistant gunner at the time, or assistant armorer at the time. Oh, he was fucking hot. And it got pretty freaking tense there for a little bit. I was pissed off because I'm like, no, fucking 240. What the fuck, Horn?
Yeah.
Lieutenant said just don't let up on the trigger. I'm like,
yeah, really.
On, you're an adult gunner. You need 30 round burst. You know, no one cares. You're adjusting your aim, whatever. So you got to realize you've got a 240 machine gun attached to a freaking 15-ton tank.
Yeah.
You're a little bit more accurate than that kid on the bipod.
Yeah.
And especially at longer ranges. So we had to fucking that thing up. That was fucking terrible.
Jesus.
That was terrible.
Didn't know his hot barrel procedures.
Dude, we'd get them barrels so hot though in some of the live fires that fucking
glowing.
Goddamn no. We'd catch shit on fire.
Yeah.
Inside the fucking tank catch on fire.
Inside the tank catch on fire.
Yeah, inside the tank, you had asbestos around the opening for the coax went, but you'd always spray freaking brake free on it, so then that would catch fire. Like your loader would have his little blows up. Hang on.
His little oven mitts.
Yep, the little oven. Okay, we're good. Fuck. Because man, when I loaded, I love loading, and when I was a loader, because I was the right size for loading. Because you got really tall guys are good, but them guys that are about 5'8" to 5'10", or maybe like 6 foot somewhere in there, they're kind of screwed because at 5'4", I could stand up to load. I mean, I'm in a bit of a squat, but I'm picking that 52-pound round up and slamming it in and pulling out the booty bag, doing all the stuff you got to do. And then big guys like my buddy Mel Luttrell, he could be sitting down in the loader seat, pick it up, and load it.
Just slam it.
But if you were...
Because his torso is the same height as you.
Right,
standing.
exactly. You know, they used to make fun of me fucking Campeche. I could just see actually standing on the gunner seat, leaning up against her. Ah, I'm going to get you, my little babies. Like fucking midget standing up there. But you know, you get up there and you load it. And me, it don't shame my game, man. You get that thing up there. I'd have 1 foot up on the air bottle. Flick the ready switch. Make sure the lieutenant's leg ain't the fucking way. Bam! And then ride it. Again, you can ride it, and when you flick back, you'd flip the gun back on safe. So you'd be ready. Bam! You'd be on safe. You'd rock back. Pick your next round up. I mean, there was a flow to it.
Yeah, fluidity.
Yeah. So we went to 29 Palms, your place.
You really did.
I went to 29 Palms. And I told you about the whole fiasco with that one, the Marine Corps, so we were too rowdy and threw us out of the field problem. But, so we're doing that live fire, though.
I don't know if you could be too ready for the Marine Corps.
That's what the Marine Corps little officer fellow said. So we get up there.
The officers are pretty weird.
We had, against all safety regulations, 30 plus rounds in the turret.
You can fit that many?
No, you can't.
Yeah, I was
but I mean, we did.
Fuck.
Because in Irizarry, it was me and Easy, we started out with Easy gunning, me loading. Or maybe the other way around. But we blew the frickin', dude, I mean, that was another one of them. We'd fired, the 50 cal fell off. We fired the fucking 44, the night sight fell off. We fired, friggin' turrets started to fall. And we're just throwing parts out onto the back deck, man. So the back deck looked like fucking parts thing. And when the 50 cal broke off the yoke, fucking lieutenant fucking had his watch stuck on the yoke, on the 50 cal, got caught up on it. So it's dragging him off the side of the tank, fully loaded 50 cal.
Jesus.
And he's got his fucking, he kicked me in the back of the fucking head because he's trying to kick up to lock in his leg. And then, but me and Easy, man, we're just up there fucking loading rounds. And then, because we couldn't fire a missile, our missile system was down.
Of course it was.
So we gave our missiles to Sergeant Johnson, Bob Johnson.
No.
And I'm like, so I was like, you shoot missile. And Craig Pennington was gunning for him, I think, at the time. And then they gave us their heat rounds, and we were just fucking launching. And there was no targets out there. And then we had so much coax. We had the ready box full, and freaking. So we get out there, and there's no real targets for coax. But I saw this target like 200-300 meters, filled my sight. So I was like, hey, watch this. I carved me and fucking Easy's initials into the fucking target with fucking tracer round. Fucking. Then he took over and he was gunning. And we got done and we jumped up. And this was before there was safety. We were wearing BDU bottoms, t-shirts, and our freaking little pirate hats. You know, we had our CBCs on when we were gunning. But when we jumped out, we just had the dew claws, dew rags over top of our heads. And we're standing on that back deck, just fucking black from fucking smoke and shit all over us. We're like, Argh! Marine Corps was like, what is fucking wrong with these people, man?
Get them out of here.
God, go home.
Fuck, go get a shower.
Goddamn paratrooper shit. Fuck. But yeah, Sheridan gunnery was always good. Bradley gunnery was pretty, because everything worked. Generally.
You ever do M1?
Yes, I shot, and I did do M1 gunnery, but when I was in the M1 commander's course, another one, go to a course with a bunch of guys who don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yep.
Guess who was in the class with me? A bunch of special forces guys, because they were going to Kuwait,
And they didn't know tanks?
Huh?
They didn't know tanks?
Yes, they did be familiar with tanks.
Okay.
So me and this fucking SF guys are in there just boom, boom,
Fucking around.
Roger that. So I had the SF medic, and I was TCing, I think. I was either TCing or I was loading. I was doing something in the turret. There had to be a cadre with us, though. So we're up there, and he did the second ultimate sin. He fired main gun. No, he fired coax when he should have been fired main gun, which is okay. Because
the second main sin.
Well, the other one, there's three. Well, that isn't bad. That's like a misdemeanor. The other one is when you fire main gun at a coax target. Not good. those are usually only a couple 100 meters away.
Yeah.
You're slamming a sabot or a heat round in, and then the main one is indexing sabot and firing heat, or the other way around. Indexing one ammo, firing the other. So if you do, the ballistics are figured in the sight for that round.
Okay.
So if you fire sabot and you've got heat indexed, you're putting that round over here.
Oh shit, yeah.
And if you've got sabot indexed and you fire heat, you're putting it right down there.
Right in front of you.
Yeah, so that's usually pretty fucking...
Yeah.
It's like when I was doing a live fire in Germany, though, with my Bradley. Mark Reardon, he loved me. We're good. And I had Schmidt, who was fucking...
The little guy.
And so we're up there, we're firing this live fire, we're just lighting shit up, like boom, 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 boom. And he's trying to conserve ammo, and Big O was the three Bradley sections, so I had a platoon sergeant. Fuckers like boom, 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 boom. And he's fucking Schmidt's trying to get fire command, trying to do fire control, which God love him, it's the right thing to do, but fuck that, we're having fun. Boom, 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 tearing shit up. So we look down and I'm like, hey, White 5, you got coax? I said, I got troops in my direct front. I said, I'm out of coax. And then before he could say anything, Mark Reardon was like, you have permission to bump up on my range. Roger that, White 4, or why they call him White 5? White 5, don't worry about it, I got it. I put 25 into that fucking target, into them troops. Whoo! We came back and he said, look, Sergeant Knox, I told you to do that. And it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But the range said, we can't do that because you shot at the targets and the sobs and everything.
Did what I was told.
I was around to that.
Do my job.
Schmidt was trying to pull me to the side. He's like, hey, goddammit, you were on list of fire. I was trying to do fire commands and blah, 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 all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. I started to get my ass and everything. And, I'm like, your mouth's moving. What are you saying? Then fucking Mark comes in and he's like, hey, Sergeant Schmidt, what the fuck's wrong with you? He says, why weren't you being aggressive out there? He's Big O and Sergeant Ox were up there tearing it up. You brought ammo back.
Damn.
What the fuck?
Damn.
So that was kind of... So I just walked away. I'm sure Mark was like, fuck yeah, that guy's tearing this shit up. You've been to Mark's house.
I have. Where's his house?
Washington. Every time we go to the D.C. area.
Yeah, I was just saying, I've heard a lot of stories about Mark, but I didn't know.
Tall guy with a mustache.
Dad?
Center of military history.
I got a VA claim that says I got bad memories, so you can't ask me, can't tell me things. I don't know.
Well, he came back from Germany.
I do know we met with your cousin from the Coast Guard.
Yeah, Andy.
Andy.
Yeah.
I don't remember Mark.
Yeah. We had dinner at his house.
I believe it. 100%. You're right. I'm telling you I can't.
Well,
my memory's just not that good. I got a VA claim that says I don't. 30% for it.
Really?
30%. Unspecified depressive disorder.
Wow. Maybe I should go back.
You're at 100 plus. Why do you? I'm glad you have the ambition to just collect.
So they would. What do they know? Like that's why I have my TBI put in there because I don't want to be 60 years old having Alzheimer's or some other.
And they're blaming some
and
other
they're
shit.
like, well, no, like
he's just old. Like no, he had these injuries.
my brain was fried a couple times.
Yeah. Just put that on a card. Like, look, Veterans Affairs said I have a memory problem.
Well, you want to cut this because I got to piss, or just pause it because I got to piss.
I got this too.